talk with you about lessons learned from applying for these 2 cycles of genetic counseling assistant positions. One is that I wish I applied only after match day, because a lot of the places I interviewed at did ask me if I was applying for genetic counseling programs this cycle. From their perspective, if you're applying for genetic counseling programs and it's only March when they give you this job offer, they have to wait until the end of April to figure out whether or not they can offer the job to another person if you do match. And so it's just a headache for them. So in a way, like, applying for GCA positions before match day is kind of pessimistic, and who knows, you might get into a genetic counseling program. So maybe there's even no point in putting in all that effort. Another thing is be prepared to answer questions about time commitment. A lot of places will ask you, when do you plan on applying for grad school? A lot of places want to have someone who is willing to commit at least 2 years, because if they have to train someone every single year, it can get kind of tiresome, especially since getting in all those trainings for electronic medical access, compliance training, all that jazz takes someone like at least a month or 2 before they can actually do their job responsibilities, which is a lot of lost productivity. And so if you're able to commit 2+ years, that would be music to their ears. And then something else that I learned is don't be afraid to ask the hard questions during the interview. I know that when you apply for genetic counseling assistant positions and you're interviewing for a job, sometimes we can just feel like, oh my gosh, this is the only opportunity that I'll get to interview for a GCA position. I don't want to say anything that will, deter them from giving me a job offer, so I don't want to ask anything that might be considered sketchy. Why you should be asking these questions is to figure out whether or not you would want to even work in this job. Sure, it's nice to put that you're a GCA or that you were a GCA on your application for when you're applying for genetic counseling programs, but think about what experiences that you'll get from that position. So for example, in one of the positions that I was interviewing for, it was an industry GCA position. They said in the job description that I would be supporting genetic counselors and with their administrative work. And so I asked them during the job interview, what does that really look like? Will I be inputting genetic testing orders? Will I be helping out with literature review? Will I be doing pedigree intake? What does that actually look like? And in talking with the genetic counselor assistants, it seemed like the job was more of answering the phones and emails about their genetic testing product, whether the sample was received, talking with their healthcare providers who are ordering the testing. So, it was a good experience in terms of being able to see what it's like being on the other side of the genetic testing process, but it wasn't a good fit for me in the sense that I wanted to get more shadowing experience. I wanted to be in a clinic. That helped me determine whether or not I wanted to continue interviewing for that job. Another question that I asked is, how much overlap will I have with the current GCA, to see how much potential mentorship or training that you'll get from the current GCA before they move. And that can be helpful for you learning all the processes of the job. Another lesson that I learned is leveraging your network. So earlier I talked about the listserv and how that helped me find a job position that was not even on job portal websites yet. The other way that I was able to get interviews was actually talking with genetic counseling students and genetic counselors that I had shadowed and asking them if they knew of any job openings or positions. I also talked with genetic counseling students about whether or not they did a GCA position, if so, at what company, what was it like to work for that organization. They'd be willing to refer me to their previous boss. That helped me figure out which places I could see myself working at and which places maybe wasn't as good of a fit for my career goals. Is personalizing your cover letter. So sure, you can personalize it in saying why you want to be a genetic counselor assistant, why you would be a good fit for the role. However, I also think it adds a nice personal touch if you talk about how you even learned about that position in the first place, and that goes back to talking about how you learned about the job. So did you talk with a genetic counselor who used to work there, who currently works there, and you know what their culture is like and you could see yourself working there? One place I interviewed at, I just simply said, I listened to a seminar or I attended a webinar by XYZ genetic counselor. I really enjoyed their talk and wanted to be a part of their healthcare system. So yeah, that was my experiences applying for genetic counselor assistant positions. Please give this video a thumbs up if you liked it. I plan on posting maybe once or so a month, so if you like this kind of content, please subscribe to my channel. I hope you all have a really nice rest of your day, and take care. I'll talk with you next time. Bye!